Can you find a beat with just clave? If you were walking around Miami and you heard a guitar player playing your favorite son montuno, would you be able to clap clave along with it? Would you put the 3-side and the 2-side in the right spots, or would you be guessing? And although it has nothing to do with IQ, I can assure you, do you know why musicians only count to 4 where dancers count to 8? If you have these questions, I hope they're answered today. As you might know, I've been working on a digital casino course, which is accessible on the site at a discount while videos are still being added to it. You little baby boy? The most recent one I've been working on is a part 1 of a series dedicated just to explaining the music and the rhythm that we're dancing to. The music should come first. Like we've said before, the goal is to ultimately dance to and feel the music. Some people are already there based off of exposure, or they studied the things that I'm presenting in this video so much that they're just able to forget about it. Other people really struggle with rhythm and want an analytic approach to get where they need to be. And for those people, I make the videos so that they're not able to say,
"Good golly gosh, Steven, I sure wish you broke that down a little bit more."
Most of us are somewhere in between, so maybe this will allow you to make some new connections and think about things in a different way, which is always good. I want to present everything that I can so that people can take what they want and leave what they don't need. But wherever you're at on your journey, I hope you get something out of this very long snippet from part 1 of the music and rhythm portion of the course. So if our goal ultimately is to dance to the music, we've got the music in the way that the musicians look at the music they're playing, and we've got our steps in the way dancers look at the steps that we're doing. We're going to see if we can kind of unite those worlds, get them to talk to each other so that we can coordinate ourselves with the rhythm and with a partner and dance to the music. If you don't mention clave, people are going to think that you don't know what you're talking about, so we're going to start there. Clave is just 2 sticks banged together in a particular pattern comprised of 3 beats and 2 beats. The musicians can interact with clave such that the 3-side of the clave sounds like it's first, and the 2-side of the clave sounds like it's coming after it. Or vice versa. The 2-side is happening first, and the 3-side happens after. And your brain and your ear are always looking for patterns, and since that pattern of clave 3 and then 2 and then 3 and then 2 and then 3 and then 2 is happening throughout the entire song, your brain is wired in such a way that if it hears the 3-side happening first, it's going to be looking for the 2-side as the answer. So if the 3-side sounds like the question, the 2-side is going to sound like the answer. If the 3-side sounds like the rise, the 2-side is going to sound like the fall. And then vice versa, if the musicians interact with the clave in such a way that the 2-side sounds like it's happening first, your ear is going to be looking for the 3-side. So that pattern takes place across 2 bars of music. Musicians organize music into bars, each of which has 4 beats. So a clave pattern needs to happen across 1, 2, 3, 4, and then another measure of 1, 2, 3, 4. The 3-side of the clave is going to have a strike on the first beat, so on the 1, and then on the 4th beat, which is the last beat of a bar of music. So it's going to be on the 1 and then the 4, and then the middle strike is going to happen just between 2 and 3. So the and of 2. So the 3-side of clave is going to be 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. The 2-side of the clave is going to have a strike on the 2 and the 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So altogether, it's going to be 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. So I just presented that in a way where the 3-side sounds like it's happening first, and the 2-side is happening second. But we can also flip it. So if the 2-side sounds like it's happening first, followed by the 3-side. That would be something like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. So just to give it some musical context, I'm going to add piano and bass to some clave using an app called Salsa Rhythm, which is a free download. And I'm going to put the 3-side of the clave first. So this would be the clave is playing and the musicians decide we're going to play with this clave such that the 3-side is happening on the first measure and the 2-side is happening on the second measure. So the beginning of this 2-bar phrase, the 3-side is going to sound like it's happening first. So we've got some piano, bass, and clave right now. First measure, second measure. Question, answer. So now I'm going to flip the clave, so the 2-side is going to be on the first measure, and the 3 sides on the second. Question, answer. First, second. So now knowing that the rhythmic pattern that we're going to be dancing to takes place across 2 bars of 4 beats each, let's go over to the feet. We said the cadence of the dance that we're going to be doing has 3 steps, alternating feet, followed by a pause. That's step, 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 and then a pause. So that's 4 right there. So it seems very convenient that we can kind of fit that into the rhythmic structure that we were just talking about. But we still need to answer the question, where across those beats are we stepping, where are we not stepping? If I'm dancing the leads part, and we said in the warm-up steps, we're dancing on the leads count, meaning we initiate with the left foot. If I just start stepping out of convenience on the first beat, that would mean that I was stepping with my left foot on 1, right foot on 2, left foot on 3, and then nothing on 4. So I've stepped twice as many times with my left foot as my right foot. So it's a good thing we've got 4 more beats that we can use, because now, since the last foot I stepped with was my left, on the second measure, I'm going to start stepping with my right foot on 1, my left foot on 2, my right foot on 3, and then pause on the 4. If I'm dancing with a partner, she's going to be doing the exact opposite. So at the beginning of the phrase, on 1, she'll step with the right foot, 2 with the left foot, 3 with the right foot, pause on 4, and then for the second measure, she'll be stepping on the 1 with her left foot, 2 with her right foot, 3 with her left foot, and then pause on 4. Where we said 1 bar of music feels uniquely like the beginning of the phrase, and the second bar of music feels like the second part of the phrase, although musicians are looking at the music in terms of 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 throughout the entire song. Not all ones feel the same. So for example here, the phrasing that we have takes place across 2 bars, and there's definitely a 1 that is the start of the entire phrase, followed by sort of a lesser 1 that's in the middle of the phrase. Musicians might count that off as 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. As dancers, where we're looking at it, where we've got a 1 where the lead is stepping with the left foot and the follower is stepping with the right foot, and then we've got another 1 after that where the lead is stepping with the right foot and the follower is stepping with the left foot, as opposed to say, hey, which one? The first 1 or the second 1? Which one are we talking about? What foot am I stepping on? What we're gonna do is just take the 1, 2, 3, 4 of the first bar, leave it exactly how it is. And for the second bar, as opposed to count 1, 2, 3, 4 again, we're just gonna steamroll right through that and keep on counting 5, 6, 7, and 8. So that way, as opposed to saying, hey, which second beat are you talking about? The first second beat or the second beat? We can say, are you talking about 2 or 6? And so 1 and 5 are both the first beat of a measure. 2 and 6 are both the second beat of a measure. Same with 3 and 7, 4 and 8. And you'll notice we're stepping on 1 and 5, 2 and 6, 3 and 7, and we're pausing on 4 and 8. But it just gives us a shorthand that we can know exactly what foot each partner is stepping with on which part of the musical phrase. So as it stands right now, across the 2 bars of music, across a phrase of clave, across a question and answer, rise and a fall, each partner is stepping an even amount of times with both feet. Perfect. So how can we hear in the music where to put those? So far, everything that we've been looking at is through the lens of clave, which we know is an instrument and a rhythmic pattern. That rhythmic pattern outlines a 2-bar, 8-beat musical phrase that we'll eventually be putting 6 steps into. Clave holds a lot of information. It's the backbone of this rhythmic structure and the music that we're dancing to. The issue is it can be very difficult to hear these 2 sticks playing over guitar and horns and a singer and the rest of the percussion. Where you can hear clave, ironically enough, is in the instruments that are usually making it difficult to hear. So, like we said, clave is an instrument, but it's also a rhythmic pattern. And the way that those instruments interact with the clave is that they're picking up the emphasis of any time the clave is striking. So a singer can write their part in whatever words they want to sing, whatever notes they want to hit, but whenever those words and notes align with the clave, they're going to receive more emphasis. Same thing goes for guitar and the horns and piano and all the other melodic instruments. Because nobody wants to hear my singing voice, I can give an example with my speaking voice. So if I were gonna talk something like this, I would emphasize the clave strikes with my voice, which you can put clave right under. If I were gonna talk something like this, I would emphasize the clave strikes with my voice. And if you extract just the clave rhythm from that, I'm saying more words than there are clave strikes. However, where they line up with the clave, they're louder. I gonna talk like this, emphasize clap with voice. So if we take a look at what clave can tell us in this example, we know that the musicians can interact with clave such that the 3 side of the clave sounds like it's first, and the 2 side of the clave sounds like it's coming after it. Or vice versa. The 2 side is happening first, and the 3 side happens after. This particular example started off with, if I were talking something kind of like this. So the 3 side is first, followed by the 2 side. If you remember from earlier, the first strike on the 3 side of the clave gives us our 1, which is not just the first beat of the first measure, but the first beat of the entire phrase. I can actually use that to get the 5, which is the first beat of the second phrase. So if I'm locked into 1, ba, 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 1, ba, 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 ba. If I just double how often I'm snapping or clapping if you can't snap, and I keep even time in between the ones, if I just double it, I get my 5 as well. So if I've got 1, ba, 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 1, ba, 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 1, ba, ba, 5, 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 ba, ba. So that gives you the first beat of both bars that we're dancing on, which when we get to dancing is gonna be when we start stepping after the pause. Pretty big. If we look at the 2 side of the clave, we got ba, 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 ah, ah, ba, 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 ba. The 2 side of the clave is helpful because it gives you the distance between one beat to the next, and that stays constant throughout the entire 8 count. So in this example, the 2 side of the clave falls in the second bar. So number-wise, that's going to translate to 6 and 7. If I lock in to the 2 side of the clave, ba, 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 6, 7, ba, 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 6, 7. The time between 6 and 7 is just the time between any beat. So if I keep going, I can find every beat in the 8 count. Ba, 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 6, 7, ba, 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 6, 7, ba, 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 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now you've got every beat across the 8 count. If in our example, the 2 side of the clave were happening first, the 2 side would be 2 and 3, and would use that to find the even pulse of the music. The 3 side would give us the start of the second bar of music, which would be the 5, and we would use that to find the 1. Now, you can extract clave pattern from the different instruments, but if you're a beginner, you're not really familiar with this music and it's the first time that you're really being exposed to it, finding a rhythmic pattern, extracting it out from different instruments, and then trying to orient yourself within the 2-bar phrase based off of that can be a little daunting. I know it was for me starting out, and that's why the next thing we're gonna do after this is take a look at some instruments that I think are kind of easier to hear and tune into and help you find the beat. But there is a lot of information in clave, and eventually in your journey, you're gonna get to a point where you wanna use it to help you find the beat and interpret the music. So just to get our feet wet, let's go through some exercises where we focus on the clave and using it to help us find the beat. So it still surprises me to this day, even when you talk to people who've been dancing for years about clave, they're listening for 2 sticks. And if they can't hear it, sometimes they'll be at a social and pick up a set of clave and start playing it, but the 3 sides where the 2 sides should be, because they're not listening for the clave rhythm in the instruments and in the music itself. So if that was a concept that was new to you, please let me know. Part 2 of the music and rhythm section is going to be dedicated just to bass and drums, which some people call congas. 2 instruments which I think are easier to hear in the music and a valuable tool for a beginner looking to find the beat. If you know why they call them congas, leave a comment. So hopefully that gives an idea of the level of detail we're going into in the course, not just with music obviously, but the fundamental turns and steps for casino, then combining those turns into sequences for social dancing, which will be simple enough to perform confidently, and will also look great thanks to the section dedicated to the fundamentals of body movement. So hopefully this video was helpful wherever you're at. If you knew everything in it, but you think it might be useful for somebody else, please feel free to share it with them. The course is available as I'm building it. What's up there right now is enough to get most people started. All of the basic turns shown with a partner, broken down with leads and follows footwork, so you can practice together or separately. I'm adding to it about as aggressively as possible with a goal of it being completed by 2023. So thank you for all the people who have ordered it already. There are still some promo codes available to get early access to it at a bit of a discount, where the first 50 people can get it for $49 with promo code FIRST50. So here's a recap of what was covered in the video. Thank you for watching. So to recap, we are dancing across 2 bars of music. Musicians look at that in terms of 4s, 1, 2, 3, 4, and another measure of 1, 2, 3, 4. As dancers, we explained why for us it's useful to look at it in terms of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We said that for our purposes in this video series, we're going to be dancing on 1, 2, 3, pausing on 4, and then stepping on 5, 6, 7, and pausing on 8. 1 and 5 are basically the same, although the feet switch, and the same goes for 2 and 6, 3 and 7, 4 and 8. The 1, 2, 3, 4 is going to sound like the first part of the musical phrase, because it is. The 5, 6, 7, and 8, although they are also the first, second, third, and fourth beats in the bar, respectively, is going to sound like the second part of the musical phrase, because they are. There's this thing called clave, which is an instrument as well as a rhythmic pattern that takes place across these 2 bars of 8 beats. It can sound like the 3 side of the clave is going to be happening first, with the 2 side happening second. Or it can sound like the 2 strikes of clave are happening in the first bar, and the 3 strikes of clave are happening in the second bar. The instrument itself, clave, can be challenging to hear, although other instruments in the music that we're dancing to pick up the accents, so we can extract that rhythm and find clave, which is going to give us a lot of information. It's going to tell us where the first beat of one of the measures are, which we can use to find the first beat of the other measure, and it's going to give us the time between each beat, which is going to give us the tempo of the song and allow us to find every beat across the 8 count. These exercises may be easy, but if they're difficult for you, it's just a matter of practice, I promise. And we're gonna go over other listening strategies, tuning into the drums and the bass, which in my opinion is a lot more palatable to help you find the beat. Ultimately, with each different song, you're gonna use a combination of listening to the drums, the bass, and the clave to help you find the beat and dance to the music. And if you're sitting there and you're thinking that you have no rhythm, I can almost promise you I've encountered somebody worse off than you and watched them, if they stay with it, feel the music. Of the musicality portion of the course.